Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about 3%, Season 2, Episode 1. It's called Chapter 1, The Mirror. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. It has been so long since Season 1.
I actually don't remember how long it's been, except it's been ages.
It was November 2016, so it's been basically a year and a half, almost exactly. But I think part of the reason why it feels so long is partly because it's a streaming show, so you finish Season 1 in a week or two. You know, for us, because we were working through it episode by episode, it took us about a week and a half maybe to do it back then. It'll take us longer this time, more on that later. But so it took a while, or not a long time, more what I mean to say. So it's just finished quite
the other
quickly.
thing is, like, we obviously we got Westworld back last week, and we were talking about how that was, the last episode of that was December of 2016. So,
but that took 10 weeks when it aired.
Exactly. So it goes in, a lot easier.
Whereas this, came out of nowhere quite, recently that it was coming back in this date, and now it's back. And we like Season 1 a lot. Season 1 was a really cool show. If you're not familiar with it, I recommend go back and checking out our Season 1 Episode 1 review. Starts off spoiler free, gives you a sense of what the show is. The idea is this dystopia where everyone in Brazil, only 3% go to this paradise offshore. They have to go through this testing phase when they're 20 years old, called the process, and 3% pass, go to the offshore, which is this luxury island with everything they can
Paradise and all that.
And the other 97% are living in poverty on the mainland, and that's basically
slumming it up.
Yeah, so that's basically the premise of the show. Season 1, we went through one process. We had Michelle and a bunch of other characters that we followed, and we had some twists, we had some revelations. So, Michelle and Raphael, our characters, went through. They both used to be part of the Cause, which is this resistance movement that's trying to take down, the offshore and everything they stand for. But they get through anyway, and we find out Ezekiel, who runs the process, he used to be Cause, but he actually just kind of completely converted over, and he has some weird motivations, and he's got a secret child in the slums and everything else. Joanna and Fernando, they did not go through. In fact, Joanna just quit, and she went back to the slums because she was like, I'm disgusted with this. I don't want to be part of this. I'm going back. And so we have characters who we know in both situations, and I assume we're going to get some more new characters once the the process goes back into play. Because we start this season a little bit, it was what, 6 days or something like that?
So 6 or 7.
Yeah, by the end of the episode it's like 6 days, I think, to process 105, because last season it was process 104. So we've actually jumped ahead a year. And I thought that was interesting, and it's kind of obvious in a way that because I think when we ended Season 1 and it ended with Michelle and Raphael with Ezekiel going off to the offshore. We didn't get to see what the offshore was last season, not really. And we're like, okay, so next season we're going to be on the offshore, it's going to be all this stuff. For some reason it never occurred to me we'll jump ahead a year and we'll be back to another process.
Yeah, I think it's because we can't just go, okay, here's a bunch of new characters, here's a process, follow the process again. We have to continue the story of these characters, and they have to give you an organic reason for these characters to be back at the inland trying the process again for whatever reason.
And of course we're doing different things with them, because the big thing with Michelle's character is that her brother's on the island, and he committed the first ever murder on the offshore. Allegedly, yes, of course, not proven. She's convinced he didn't do it. She wasn't even there when this all went down, so I don't know why she's so convinced outside of blind love and loyalty.
Yeah.
But he's in like a Silence of the Lambs style cell, and he's been like, brainwashed in the RTC, and these, so we get that scene, and we think he sees her at one point, and she puts her hand up against the glass, but he's just swatting a fly.
Yeah,
it's the whole thing. But she's dealing with that. She's got a nice apartment. She's walking out, and everyone's like peaceful. It's almost like a cult. Everyone's happy and cheery and like wearing light clothes, and like there's yoga classes going on. There's little pools. There's it's a resort.
Yeah. do you know what I found? This is established by what the opening scene is. I really want to know about the history of this place.
Oh yeah, they opened a little can of worms actually, because the opening of this is
4 years before the first process.
And keeping in mind we're at 105 this year for this season, so this is just over 100 years ago, and 4 years before the first process, we have these 3 people who seem to be in like a relationship, like all 3 of them, just from the glimpses we got of like sort of some 3-way lovemaking going on, and they're the founders, and we heard a lot about the founding couple in season 1. And this is the funny thing, because it had been like a year and a half, that didn't click for me right away, because I'm like, oh, 3 people, they set it up, they're the founders, that's fine.
And then they call them, the end of that scene is to us, the founding trio.
Yeah. But then, of course, it's like hinted that 2 of them cut out another one.
Yeah, because immediately, because we have that scene, and then we cut to, the alarm waking up Michelle. And it says, the founding couple wish you a happy day. I'm like,
yeah.
Huh.
So something to see, something.
There's a story to be
yes,
told.
There's something there.
Calling it now, the third one defected and set up what is now the cause.
That's probably the obvious thing to guess.
Yeah.
I'd say, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm okay with that. That's a compelling, fun story.
What I'm curious about, though, is why the other 2 ousted them. What was the story behind that? Beyond, I mean, unless it's just simple greed and jealousy or whatever. Like, did they do something that made them rebel against them, or so on? Like,
yeah, I do want to find out more about this, because as much as I thought, okay, we could learn about the history of this place, I was not expecting a scene, before the processes with them, with the 3 of them there.
Yeah, because you see them like mapping the island. They've got like little drones, and they're mapping the island, and like they're going through all this, and so, this is what we're going to do. We're the founding trio of this.
I will say slightly wonky CG on all those drones.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I think it stands out because typically it's a lot of practical effects for what they're doing.
The show typically looks very good. Yeah, so maybe it's got good locations, it's got good sets and stuff. But yeah, maybe when it actually has to use some CG, it falters a little bit. But
it's not the end of the world. I let it slide, but I just thought it was worth noting.
But it typically looks good. So the thing they're doing with Michelle this season is that Ezekiel's kind of like training her almost to be like him, and he wants her to like design a game, a test for this year's process. Which she does, and it's like this maze of mirrors, and like you have to like navigate through, and they walk through it together, and it keeps changing so that you can't use the same like technique over and over again to try and get out. And they go through all this, and he basically, his whole thing is he's questioning her loyalty, and he wants her to be honest.
Yeah, I forgot. I love just how much when they're talking in a room and the ideologies clash, because when they're walking through the maze, and he's like, "Oh, it's changing, so the only way to do it is to be random." She's like, "No. To be adaptive."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is the stuff I liked from this show.
Yeah, because that was always the great stuff in season 1. The overall story was good, but the standout scenes were always when it was like, the group of characters in a room, and they'd have to solve a puzzle, and they'd start debating on how the best way to solve it. That was always where the real meat was. In fact, my favourite episode of season 1 was probably the one where they were all trapped in like the basement, and
that's probably the most memorable.
And they only got like so much food, and they all had to kind of like figure out a way outside. That was a really great episode, because that was very much your Night of the Living Dead / The Mist / any horror movie where a group of characters basically form a society in a like one location. That was that story like turned up to 11 and like on steroids. That's what that story was.
It was that story in an hour.
Yeah. Whereas so here like she eventually kind of like does kind of break down and is honest about, and she's like she's not really sure, like she doesn't know if she's aligned with the cause still, or if she's aligned with the Offshore. She doesn't know. She's in between, and is that is that so bad?
Yeah, she's kind of just in it for herself and her brother at this point, at least for now.
Yeah,
she's been away from the cause too long, so she's kind of lost touch.
Because that's the thing, when she runs
that she once had.
When she runs into Raphael a couple of times, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go back as well," because she's going to have to go back and like, actually like do the test, and she's going to be around the new process. As is Raphael. Raphael's going to be one of the guards or whatever. He's been enlisted for that. Marcella's like, "Oh, we need to increase security," and he's going to be one of the people doing that. And every time we've seen him, I was like, and I remember feeling this way in season 1 with him as well. It's like, okay, we found out it was the cause, but I'm still not convinced that. Like, sure, I get that he was a part of the cause, but I'm not convinced if he just likes this life too much now that he actually wants to do anything for the cause, or if he...
Yeah, I think he flipped way too easy.
Yeah, I know,
He looks way too comfortable, because I think that's something we have to keep talking about. They have a rehab centre for people who come over who, try and rebel a bit.
But she was in because, Ezekiel put her straight in there.
Yeah, it's they kind of know that this is going to happen, but they measure their what do they call it? It's not balance is part of it, but there's integration levels.
Yeah, they were talking about it's dropping below 90 because Michelle's dragging the average down.
Right, they actually monitor their response and reaction and their feelings on things, and just how well they're integrating into things.
Oh yeah, Michelle's actually annoyed at the start of the episode because she's trying to have a bath, and the AI bath voice keeps saying, "Oh, which flavor of scented bath bomb do you want today?" And she's like, whatever. And it's like, "No, do you want this flavor? Do you want that flavor?" It's like, whatever.
And yeah, it says it like 3 times, and she's like, screw it, just that one will do.
Yeah. So that's all very interesting stuff, and I like this thing where he's like trying to like make her into like him, and it's like, which by the way, actually, the first time Ezekiel stepped in, because we sort of heard his voice off frame, and Michelle turned around, and then he walked in. I actually went, oh shit, look at his hair, just because last season he had it slicked back all the time.
Yeah.
So he walked onto frame this time, and it's all this little curly hair, and I'm like, oh man, he's got completely different hair when he's not.
Yeah,
he's not slicking it down.
Professional versus relaxed.
Yeah. It was just it caught me off guard, as we'll say. It's also worth mentioning this episode was actually split into acts. There was like a chapter screen.
Yeah, that's new, right? I don't recall that.
Yeah, no, I think that is new. There was always the like the episode chapter at the start, but I don't believe we ever had it split into 3 last season. At least I don't remember it being.
I mean, I feel like maybe I have vague recollections of the title of the process test come up at some point, or when they were going to start that, like a black card come up with it.
Yeah, that sounds right, but I don't think they had this before, whereas this kind of split into 3. And then the other main character we're kind of following from last season, so far anyway, is Joanna, who did quit. We see she's with Fernando at one point, who seems to have just given up. He just seems like a broken man in just about every way. But she is actively trying to become a part of the cause, and she has this contact. It's worth mentioning as well, we have some flashbacks to just after last year's process with both, like, Michelle, we see her go into the rehab, we see her doing various moments, we see her arrive, and like see the island for the first time, and with Joanna we see like her trying to reach out to this contact. I didn't quite catch his name this episode. We'll make a point. Normally I just have IMDb up to tell me character names, but IMDb doesn't have any of that for this show yet, which kind of just goes to show how underrepresented it is on the internet. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this, and it's a shame because it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, we caught what names we could, but this one we missed it.
Yeah, but so we'll call him the cause dude for the rest of this review, for lack of a better term. And he's like, nah, go away, you, like, we recruit before you're 20. And of course she jokingly points out at one point, I'm not really 20. That's just, that was the lie to get into the process last year. And Joanna's not even my real name, although I've come to accept it, and I am. It's Joanna.
Who I am now.
Yeah. But she tries to sort of become part of the cause, and he puts her into this test, and this really made me smile, because it was kind of like, oh, we're getting a test like last season, but it's not actually in the process. It's like another type of test, and it's like her and this other girl who are trying to get into the cause, and he's like, hey, these capsules we make, and we knew about these capsules because they were used last season a couple of times. That kill from these frogs. And it's like, okay, I want enough to make 6 capsules, and like they're basically fighting it. Yeah. And it felt like a game from last season where they're both rushing to do it really quickly.
Yeah, it felt like only one of you can get through, and like, okay, whoever does it first.
And Joanna's like going really fast. The other one's looking very very concerned, very like upset and aggravated because Joanna's doing so well. And at one point she actually almost falls in, and it's very dangerous because they can...
when Joanna's out of the room at this point.
Yeah, but she starts, hey, Joanna, help, she's screaming through the room. And Joanna's like, well, that's your problem. And it's like very cold, and obviously that was Joanna last season. She was a very cold character. I mean, a heart occasionally, but definitely very cold on the surface, and very out for herself when it came to the games and things like that. And she's like sitting eating some pudding when the guy comes back, and the other girl's like, I only made 1. He's like, well, that's not good enough. What about you? She's like, well, I made 3. And she's all smug, like, oh, she passed. And he's like, and I love this because it was like kind of in Joanna's face. It's like, no, we don't look out for ourselves in the cause. We work as a team together to achieve the goal. I wanted 6 from the pair of you.
I was so glad he called her on this, because it was so immediately obvious to me, in the sense that Joanna, when she talked about, oh, I want to be out of the cause, she's like, no, I didn't fail the process. I quit because I was sick of all the backstabbing, everyone out for themselves, trying to get to this place. And she's, and then immediately she's just, okay, I'm out for myself here. And it felt so hypocritical. It
did, but it was beautiful because it was so in line with her character up until this point.
It was, like, I believed it, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not questioning, but I'm glad that he called her out on it. Like, immediately, I was like, nah, this is bullshit.
I loved this. I loved that it became, the way you did this and the way you succeeded in the past isn't going to work anymore.
Yeah.
Because we are a team, and you work as a team.
Yeah, much like Michelle's test, you've got to be able to adapt.
Absolutely, yeah. That was kind of the theme of the episode. in a lot of ways. So she ends up like going along more towards present day. Because they go to like the old guy who used to run the cause. Like he left a message hidden in some building, and she happened to know where this building was, and they go and find it. We don't get to see what it says on it necessarily, but they come up with this plan. They're going to steal some fertilizer, which I assume I immediately went, oh, it's a bomb. They're going to try and blow up the process. Yeah. And it becomes this conflicted thing because there's a whole scene where they go out, and it's the same place where she shot the kid last season, so she knew where it was, but she triggers an alarm. These guys come hunting for her, and the cause guy like jumps in and saves her at one point. He's like, hey, now you know what it's like for someone to have your back. You know, he makes a little point out of it, and it becomes a bit of like an action sequence where they're trying to like dodge and scrape and like, you know, get away, bit of stealth.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And of course she gets caught on camera at one point, and Ezekiel sees this and he shows this to, because he wants Michelle to not only design a game and help with the game, the real reason she's coming back to the inland is because he wants her to infiltrate the cause, which is fantastic because it's flipping last season.
It is. It's so she's still playing the double agent.
But now it's the other way around, and I feel like
all the season we're going to be second guessing. Okay, which side is she really playing?
Exactly, and I'm still kind of doing that with Raphael. I'm still so many people.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. All I can think of is the Always Sunny moment of I'm playing both sides, so I can come out on top.
Because I think the story of Michelle, because she keeps saying she's in between, she's not really aligned with anyone, and that's okay. I think ultimately the story for her, maybe this season, maybe for the entire show, is for her to sort of have a stance that she wants to take and decide.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's not about winning or losing individually. It's about her picking a side and you know, having conviction. Or
even her own side. Like, it doesn't have to be one of the two sides we've established. It could be, let's form something new that's not the cause or that's not the offshore.
Yeah. But I think that's probably the most likely end game, because, you know, it'd be like, well, you know, the offshore is bad in concept of, you know, it, you know, shuts off, you know, 97% of the population and leaves them in slums, but they have some good ideas ultimately. Otherwise, you know, otherwise she wouldn't want to just go and live there, because she kind of does. I think that's why she feels so conflicted. She wants to be true to the cause, and, you know, the ideology that she has.
But once you're there, it's like, this is paradise.
It's like, it's pretty nice. I can get used to this, and, you know, so that makes sense.
It's going to be about her having conviction for whatever path she ultimately comes down on, and I don't know where that's going to lie. If it is one of the two sides, it's going to be a new thing.
That's the thing. It's going to be really fascinating to see if, you know, okay, putting her back in with the cause, is that going to reinvigorate her passion for them? Like, okay, I want to fight this again, or is it going to be like, do you know what? This is almost not worth it.
And you know how Ezekiel always kind of guessed who she was and that she was always working these two sides, and he kind of like knew that, but kind of kept her going because he saw the possibility of like winning her over. I wonder if we get like almost a mirror image of that again, where the leader of the cause might feel the same way this season, where he kind of gets that she might be working the other side, but maybe we can sway her over anyway. Yeah, I could see that going both ways, and I think it parallels with Joanna as well. I mean, you know, I think mirror's the title for a lot of reasons, but I think on top of that you get this mirror image here, where by the end of the episode, the big cliffhanger is that she like finds out what the bomb's going to be. It's like, oh, because we're not blowing it up just now. We're waiting for 6 days. We're waiting until all the recruits, all the new people are in there. And she's like, no, we can't do that. That's like full of innocent people who are 20 who are going in just to like try and win a chance of, you know, the better life. That's flat out terrorism.
But you know, as the guy says, it's like, you know, okay, sure, we can go destroy a building now. They'll just rebuild it, or just, you know, do it in a different building. So what?
Yeah, the goal here is to strike fear in everyone else from ever even like going in for it.
Yeah, and I think, again, to go back to the mirror, Ezekiel's argument on the Offshore is, you know, he's arguing with the woman, Marcella, I believe her name was.
Because there's a whole big scene where she is like, no, we need more security measures, we need more soldiers on the ground, and he's like, no, that'll cause a riot amongst all the people.
Yeah, he says, you know, we want them to join us because they want to, we don't want to make them just do it out of fear. And, you know, it's again, that this idea that they're both very similar, these two sides, as much as they're completely different ideologies. Their methods are relatively similar.
Yeah, it's the ideological conflict, which is the core of the show, the heart of the show. And
it's easily the best part, as fun as all the puzzles and stuff are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm really curious, because we actually didn't know this until today, until it went up. But there's actually 10 episodes this season instead of 8, because we assumed it was going to be 8 again. But no, sure enough, there's 10 episodes, and I'm excited because I'm like, okay, I actually think we'll get to see some of the new games this year, but we'll see it from a new context. But I do wonder if a couple of the new kids, I mean, I say kids, they're 20, but like, will they also be like new main characters as well? Will we get like two sides of it? Will we get the Joanna and Michelle stuff?
Yeah, here's the thing. Obviously, Joanna went in last year, but under, you know, falsified birth certificate, and she said, she's not even 20 yet. Can she go in again? Well, will she get away with that?
Given that Ezekiel knows her face, it seems unlikely.
It does, but would he kind of just let it slide because we know what he's like? And then maybe he'll see it as, do you know what, if she's back, she wants to be part of this.
Or he's just going to look and go, "You've got moxie, kid. On you go."
Yeah, exactly. But then also I can see us. We got glimpses of it last season, from their, the behind the scenes of the challenges, right?
Oh yeah, we seem we're going to get a lot more of that because even Michelle's like, "Oh, you built this. You built this game really quick." She's impressed. So
yeah, I assume the majority would be from their point of view, the running of it, and
absolutely,
them changing the puzzle, mid game, and be like, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah, I think we'll get one or two characters that we will follow during the games, but they won't necessarily be the straight focus like Michelle and Fernando and Joanna were last season. But I think we'll get a couple of characters who we do know, who we can follow in the games as they're happening, even if we do get more of a perspective of an observer.
I think Fernando is the loose thread right now that I'm not sure what we're going to do with him this season. Because, okay, Raphael, he's going to be around security. I can see where we're going. Michelle, I get.
Yeah, I feel like once Michelle is infiltrating, she's on the ground in the inland, I feel like when she runs into him, that is when he'll become fairly important.
Oh, yeah. I'm wondering what's the direction for his character going to be.
Yeah.
Because everyone else, I can kind of see at least the openings of their story.
Absolutely. Also worth mentioning, Ezekiel did show Michelle that A-Line took the fall, and we see that she's actually been like mind wiped essentially.
Yeah.
And rehab. She's
they took every part of the cores out of her brain. Turns out it was all over her brain. So
yeah, which to me says he just said turn the switch up high.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So because he's got like a sort of sick little slice smile as he says that, like.
Yes.
But of course, she was trying to take his job last season, which is why he was more than happy to take her off the table.
Yeah.
So. I think it was a strong start to the season because I think it's promising we'll still get the elements of what season 1 was, but we're going to expand on it and open it up and do more stuff. I think the fact that it starts with here's some history of the founders, like that's an interesting thing to open with. It says, hey, we're going to look into more of the history of this thing. We're going to look into more of what the cause is, what the Offshore actually is, and how they play off each other.
I think it answers quite what the season's going to be, because obviously at the end of last season we were like, okay, what's the next season going to be? Because we can't just do the process again, in the same way. But and we want to follow up all these characters, the threads that are established. But how do you do that without betraying the identity of what the show was? And I think they seem to have found a pretty good solution from what we can see here.
Yeah, we'll see more sides of it. We'll still get the games themselves, and if they do more stuff like Joanna with this episode, where there's other like kind of style games that aren't really games, but they're kind of
in spirit,
yeah, in spirit, we'll still get scenes like the ones in season 1. That's like
it plays exactly the same in everything but name and location.
Yeah, but again, I love that they flipped it on the head afterward and said, "No, Joanna, you did wrong. This is not those games. This is something else."
Exactly.
So, and again, that's good to go all the way back to my original point that I was going to make, is Joanna having this conflict over, no, I don't want to actually be a terrorist and like kill like innocent people. I don't want to do that. Like, again, that like shows to me that Joanna and Michelle might end up in a similar place where they're both kind of in the middle and don't want to be a part of either side. Like, they could both end up in that kind of way. And I don't know. Obviously, I imagine there'll be conflict between them because she's kind of, Michelle's actively going there to infiltrate, to like, surrounding Joanna and what she's been up to. Like, she's actually going to be a target of Michelle's, so I can see there being conflict, and we'll see. Like, yeah, I'm deeply curious. There's a lot of interesting stuff been set up in this first episode, so no. So obviously we're going to be back with episode 2 Monday or Tuesdays when we'll get to record the next one. We're still finishing off Lost in Space because we're slightly overlapping Netflix shows, and it's going to get really interesting next week when both Dear White People and another foreign show from Netflix called Rain, another science fiction show, starts from the Netherlands, I believe that was
Denmark. I think.
Sorry,
I want to say Denmark.
I said Denmark. Okay. Yeah. But don't quote us on that. We'll have that information all locked down when we actually start talking about it. But that's coming next Friday. So once those come, we're going to be sort of rotating through the Netflix shows, the episodes.
They're just giving us this thing when 3% first launched. They had some good content, but it wasn't as anywhere near as regular as it is now.
Yeah. Now they're overlapping, and they're literally giving us 2 shows next week that we want to check out. So you'll get about 4 episodes, maybe 5, before we get to those shows next Friday. and then it'll maybe space out a little bit more as we sort of mix in with other shows. But we'll keep them coming. There's
busy time of year.
Yeah, there's no way we're not finishing and working through all the episodes. It just unfortunately won't be quite as quick as we did last season, because there's just more Netflix shows now to cover. But so I hope to see you back for episode 2. This is your first episode seeing our reviews and content. There is an audio feed as well. Click the link in the description to get to the Netflix audio review feed. It works like a podcast because that's what we are, and that mixes in with all the other shows as well. But yeah, so otherwise though, let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. Patreon also has in the top post handy links to all of our playlists and audio feeds for everything else as well. If that, it's a nice neat way of finding all those things.
Check out all our other content if you want.
Yeah, all TV stuff, and movie stuff and comic stuff. But that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?